Alrighty, beautiful people. This episode is the first one that it's been in a while. I've been lagging really behind on my outlines. My notes are stellar. I haven't fallen behind on my notes at all, but my outlines are falling quite behind, and as a result, I'm working really hard to try and catch up. But it's hard because it is so far behind. I know it's going to take me several hours of both doing outline updating and recording to get all the way caught up. So, the purpose of this episode, there are several purposes. The first purpose, motivation. Motivation to get back into it. And a lot of that motivation is going to come through accountability. I am getting accountable to everybody right now that I am going to get back on top of my outlines and have all of those updated. I'm hoping a week from today as the latest, working through it next week to get all those updated. There's been some challenges to that. I'll get into that in just a minute. The second purpose of this episode is to just give an update on what's going on with the life and part of the reason why I have fallen behind on a couple of those activities. And the third part of this episode is to have the main content of this episode, and specifically the title of this episode is going to be The Emotions of Law School, which I recently just posted an article on the website talking about the emotions, so that most of these things are going to fall under that as well. So let's go ahead and talk about these three purposes. The first purpose that I mentioned was I have fallen behind on my outlines, and this is to give me motivation and accountability. And it's important because without motivation and accountability, I may continue to fall behind without having that motivation. So here's my schedule for how I am going to update outlines and throughout this next week. I've got a couple more hours today that I'm going to be working on. I want to work on civil procedure. Probably that's because, it's one of my favorite classes. It's easy to understand, easy to update outlines, and a lot of that material will be fresh. Also, I've completed all the readings for civil procedure and have things clear in my mind, so it's going to be a good place to start to get the snowball rolling. Monday, I'm going to work on property, and that's just because I don't have very much to update left on property since I have most of property updated. Tuesday, I'm going to update con law. There will be 2 weeks of con law to update just because con law was up to date, except for this past week. Wednesday, I'm going to focus on finishing next week's property, plus getting contracts done. Contracts is going to take a couple of days, but Wednesday would be a good opportunity to get contracts, except for what is currently coming. And then I'm going to have Thursday and Friday of next week to update contracts again and civil procedure for next week. And if all goes well, I will have everything updated by the end of next Saturday. Plus, that's going to give me an opportunity to, having those extra days is going to give me an opportunity to make up any days that I lack. So that's the goal. Next Saturday, everything's updated. Purpose number 2, give an update on my life and really how things are going and why I may have fallen behind. I guess, so to speak, this is my excuse for why I have fallen behind on the outlines. Well, as you know, I fell behind originally on the outlines, didn't fully catch up because we had a midterm in contracts. Not my best grade, not my best result. Did really well when I started out right, faltered a bit when I started out wrong. So grade was a little bit discouraging. Then we had our brief that was due the Monday after, and as a result, outlines didn't get updated there either. So those were the two things that originally veered me off track. But then I was planning, okay, we've got trial practicum coming up, which is when we don't have classes, so that we can go watch a trial. Well, trial practicum got canceled. And so we had classes that week, and I was like, Jets, there goes my opportunity to catch up on outlines. Well, that didn't work out, so I was like, okay, spring break is next week. I can go catch up on spring break. Well, spring break came, got busy, had lots of things to do. Went to visit family back in Utah. My brother got married that Saturday. So, needless to say, I had the opportunity to work on school-related stuff, failed to work on school-related stuff because of personal activities that were going on in that instance. Also during spring break, recently was hired for a company, and so I spent some of my time working for the company instead of working for my personal stuff that I focus on with law schoolers. So, those are the reasons why I've fallen behind there. I guess I was also going to spend a lot of next week too focusing on it because trial practicum was rescheduled for next week. But trial practicum has fallen behind again. It got canceled again. All the cases were continued or settled. And so trial practicum's not happening next week. But regardless, I am setting a goal to get all these outlines up to date, even though things have been really busy. And things will continue to stay busy because we don't know when trial practicum is actually going to occur. Okay, so those are the first two purposes covered. The last purpose, the main purpose you could say for this episode, which we're, 5-6 minutes into this episode, maybe even further. We're almost 7 minutes into this episode, and I still haven't gotten to this main purpose. But it's the main content of this episode, which is the emotions of law school. And as you know, as everybody knows, there are several variety of emotions that come with law school. Some of these emotions are good, some of these emotions are bad, or some of these emotions are positive, and others are negative. Well, a lot of the time we focus on a lot of the negative emotions, and we will spend time in this episode talking about some of those negative emotions. But I also want to talk about some of the good, positive emotions that come from law school as well. And I think it's important because both of these emotions are present. And both of these are important. And both of these emotions naturally occur during law school. So they need to be talked about regardless of what may be more motivating, so to speak, because I think people inherently have a negative disposition where we want to be positive, but allow negative feelings and thoughts and attributes to get in the way at times. So let's go ahead and talk about the positive emotions. There's going to be more that I won't list and go over in this episode, both of positive and negative, but there's 3 that I want to emphasize. Positive emotions that occur because of law school include confidence, satisfaction, and relief. Now, these might seem a bit weird emotions to list, but there's a reason why I listed them. And it's because these are the ones I think are most prevalent in my life at this moment. Let's go ahead and talk about how these emotions are prevalent and how they can help with continued law school success. First, confidence. So many law school students start law school feeling like they may be a bit of an imposter. I definitely felt that way. I still feel that way. I came to law school having a little bit of background experience in law. I did an internship. I took a couple of legal-based classes. And I came to law school feeling, okay, my GPA is good. LSAT score could have been higher. But I feel comfortable. I can come to law school. But I was not ready to feel the imposter syndrome that I did. The imposter syndrome is really just feeling like you're way beneath where everybody else is at. You're an imposter, faking it till you make it, so to speak. And so this imposter syndrome kind of hit me, and it shook my confidence, and so I decided to work hard. And as I worked hard, I gained more legal knowledge, practiced, became more experienced. I'm feeling much better about my oral presentation, my writing skills, because I can't tell you how many minutes I've spent on this microphone and how many minutes and pages and words I've written just to put notes onto the website. And so the website has actually helped shape my confidence immensely. But ultimately, a natural consequence of gaining knowledge through practice is confidence. And this confidence can be utilized in several ways. It results in good grades. It's honestly a big part of what confidence can do for you. It helps to build a trust in yourself. When you trust yourself because of the confidence that you've built, you perform better. But it also develops a trust. Well, others develop a trust in you because of the confidence that you show. In other words, people see you as smart. And I don't feel smart, but I think I've portrayed myself in a way because of hard work and diligence in understanding the material that people feel like I'm confident, or at least more confident than I feel that I am myself. So I'm still working on overcoming that imposter syndrome, but my confidence is steadily starting to grow, and that's going to be through my hard work of reading, studying, and practicing the material to gain that knowledge that is necessary to build that confidence. And I'm hoping that continues to show in my academic work. The second positive emotion that I felt from law school is satisfaction. And it seems like confidence and satisfaction are correlated. When you're confident, you get good grades. And when you get good grades, you're satisfied. A lot of my performance has led me to feel satisfied with where I'm at. And this satisfaction leads to additional future motivation so that I can have future success. I enjoy the feeling of being satisfied with my performance. I enjoy feeling satisfied with the grades that I get back on my papers and on my exams. And as a result, I want to continue feeling that. I don't want to feel disappointed. And even though I have at times. And so that satisfaction leads to a motivation to continue to grow. And I do want to note the difference between satisfaction and pride, because there is a difference. I think there's a relation, but there is a difference that I want to point out. There's positive pride in the sense, and I'd say that's your satisfaction. You have to feel proud of what you've done. Otherwise, why do you continue to work hard? But you need to also stay away from a negative form of pride, which is feeling a sense of self-importance in a negative way, feeling like you're better than other people because of your performance. That's not satisfaction, and that's a negative emotion that you may feel because of positive performance. In other words, give credit where credit is due. Hard work, diligence, focus. And that's going to lead to satisfaction and stay away from negative pride. The third emotion, positive emotion, is relief. There are several moments, but few in comparison to the amount of moments that I have had in law school. But there are several moments where I have felt immense relief for completing a project. For instance, when I turned in a legal brief just a few weeks ago, immense relief. And it was a very enjoyable feeling to feel that kind of relief. For me, when I feel relief, there are symptoms that arise. I get all kind of giddy, excited, smiley, and to the point where it can actually seem pretty annoying. And I end up talking a lot more. Have to call family members, call my wife, call my parents, tell them just how excited I am that it's done, and just share that with as many people as I can. The instances that this has come during law school is every time I turn in a large paper. There's been 4 so far this semester. This year since the beginning of fall semester. Those would be all my legal writing assignments. Felt that after midterms. I felt that after finals last semester. And then I felt that a lot as well after I received my grades last fall semester. So those are the 3 positive emotions that I want to highlight. Now I want to spend some time focusing on some of the negative emotions that comes if you focus on these emotions during law school. First is guilt, second is exhaustion, and third is stress. Guilt may not have been one of the first emotions that you think of, but it's one of the things that actually can be one of the most detrimental things if you focus on it too much during law school. For me, I feel guilty when I fail to read a case before class. Other people don't. That's good. Although I rarely fail to read a case before class, there's only, I think, in my entire law school career, I've only missed 4 or 5 max of cases before classes actually happen. And then I go back and read them later. But I feel guilt when that happens. I feel guilt when I get a poor grade, and that might be correlated with disappointment. And I feel guilt because I may not have worked as hard as I should have to get those proper grades. And currently, my feeling of guilt that I feel largely is from not being able to complete my outlines. I'm feeling really behind on that, and as a result, I feel guilty. And this episode here is an opportunity, a chance for me to try and combat that guilt that I am currently feeling from that inability to complete those things in a timely manner. Guilt can also come from focusing on activities that aren't inherently bad, but maybe distracting from the things that you should be doing. For instance, I get distracted with YouTube. I get distracted with TV. I want to work hard, but I'm so tired a lot of the time that I just ultimately waste my time. And then I feel guilty for how I wasted my time instead of updating my outlines, for example. So how do you overcome guilt? 2 methods. The first method is to avoid situations that make you feel that emotion. So, for me, that's going to be focusing on updating my outlines before I spend time elsewhere, such as YouTube or TV. The second way is to engage in healthy activities that contribute to a positive lifestyle. So, getting proper exercise, getting proper sleep, and engaging in positive relaxation. The second emotion is going to be exhaustion. By the time I hit the end of the day, a lot of the time I'm just so tired that I just want to go home, sleep, do nothing. And law school is one of those things that ends up automatically trending towards just being exhausted all the time. Right now, my schedule comprises of waking up typically around 4 a.m. Sometimes I sleep until 5. Other times I'm up as early as 3. To get readings done, to start working, and I usually read up until 6. And 6 is my hard line where I stop so that I can get ready for the day. I shower, eat breakfast, get ready for school, leave by 7, get to the school by 7:30, and then I start working again. I work from 7:30, go to classes, and then I finish pretty much until I don't, or at least until I feel comfortable with what I can accomplish the next day. I don't like to really work at home, so I try and get as much done as I can at school. Usually do that up until 4 or 5 p.m. Go home, and then from the time I get home until the time I go to bed, there's several activities I want to engage in. Have dinner, hopefully exercise, cleaning the apartment, which is something I also feel guilty for sometimes. And then just simple relaxation with my wife. And those are just some things that I need to get done to actually feel comfortable with where I'm at. And usually I get to bed between 9:30 and 10:30. But there's been several times where I just, by the time I hit the end of the week, Thursday and Friday especially, feel like I've been so sleep deprived that I just want to take a nap. And so there have been times where myself and Kylie, sorry, that's my wife, where we just go to bed at 7 p.m., 6 or 7 p.m., and we end up sleeping throughout the night without any problems because of how tired we both are. All this to say is that exhaustion can have a negative impact on performance, and it can have a negative impact on our desire to engage in healthy activities. My exhaustion makes it so I don't want to exercise. It makes it so I don't want to clean. It makes it so that I don't want to eat sometimes because I'm just so tired that all I want to do is sleep. So how do we combat this? Well, first of all, and most importantly, make sleep a priority, even if it's going to impact some of the ability to get other things done. Additionally, I think it's important to take a day off from school. For me, that's Sunday, where I do my very best to not do anything related to law school, even one bit. And finally, I think it's important to take a day a week, maybe two, to sleep in a little bit, to get that extra sleep. And that's going to result in having proper energy, holding exhaustion at bay, and staying motivated. The final emotion that I want to talk about is stress. And this is the one that most law school students talk about when it comes to talking about law school. Hey, how's law school going? You feeling stressed out yet? That's typically a very good question that comes all the time, and the answer to that will always be yes. From day one to the end of year 3, you will always be stressed in law school. There's no way to avoid it, but stress can be both a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is it helps you stay motivated to actually meet those deadlines. The bad way is if you let stress overcome your ability to perform, and as a result, you end up feeling guilt and other emotions too. So, stress is good because it helps you stay motivated, but it can be bad if you let those feelings lead to other negative emotions. How do we manage stress? Once again, we just want to make sure that we engage in those healthy activities such as sleep and exercise. And if we have that hard work, then we're going to be able to not focus so much on the stress, but also the positive emotions that come from engaging in good, healthy activities. Okay, one last thing that I want to say before we leave. And this is just going to be talking about the purpose of law school, the purpose of life. I'm a religious person. I believe in God and I believe in Jesus Christ. And I think my relationship with them helps shape a lot of my purpose in this life. I believe that I am on this earth for a purpose to help others. And law school is my way of meeting that purpose, both in law school and then after law school with the career that I have ahead of me. I want to help other people. And I think that's a big part of my purpose and a big part why I am here in this world that God put me in. And my success in law school, it comes from God. My strengths, they come from God. And then God helps me to overcome my weaknesses. We all have strengths, we all have weaknesses, and they're an important part of how we develop in this life. And so as we focus on our purpose, and as we focus on our relationship with God, and especially as I focus on my relationship with God, I'm able to combat negative emotions. And I'm able to allow positive emotions to shape the way I dictate my life. And it's all because of this relationship that I have with a heavenly being. All that to say, to wrap up this episode, that I did have 3 purposes that I wanted to talk about. The first was to share why I had fallen behind and what this episode's purpose was. The second was to give an update on my life events, and the third was to talk about some of the positive and negative emotions of law school and how we can use our relationship to use the positive emotions and to overcome the negative emotions. Thank you all. I love you all. You're a huge help to me. I appreciate your time and your support. Have a good one. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Law Schoolers. Before I let you go, there are 4 things I want to say. The first thing is if you enjoyed these episodes and if you enjoyed the website, I would invite you to go and join Law Schoolers Pro. And you can do that by going to lawschoolers.com/join. It's a way for you to support us, but there's also a lot of features there that I think you will enjoy. Second thing is that nearly all of our episodes are unedited. The only ones that aren't are pre-law materials, and the reason for that is so you can actually see the legal material in its raw form as I'm learning it as well. The third thing is that the information contained in these episodes are specifically only for educational purposes. They're not to be used as legal advice, and with that, the fourth thing is if it is used as legal advice, we are not liable. That is, Law Schoolers is not liable for any legal outcomes. Thank you again for enjoying the show. Have a good one.